Welcome to the Rent to Rent Success podcast, the only podcast entirely dedicated to helping you achieve rent to rent success. We talk about the ethical way to get you started in property without buying it. This is our place to inspire each other to believe bigger, to be bolder, and to be game changers for good. Property investors and sisters Stephanie and Nicky Taylor are your guides on this exciting ride. Let's start up the engines and get ready to fly. Hello. Stephanie here again, and it's episode 29 of Ask the Angels, where we answer your rent-to-rent questions. If you'd like to have your question answered, go to renttorentssuccess.com/ask and record your question there for me to answer here. Today, we have a question from Chris, and Chris's question is about what are the ongoing costs of a rent-to-rent. Here's Chris's question in his words. What is the total cost you have to cover in a rent to rent every month? This is a great question, and it's one lots of people ask about. And many people are worried about starting in rent to rent, finding they can't fill the rooms and then having to meet the costs from their own pocket. If you've wondered about how it would work if you had signed a 3 or 5 year contract and you hadn't filled the rooms, you'll be pleased to know that I answered this question in episode Ask the Angels 1818, and you can listen to it at renttorentssuccess.com/18. But back to today's question. What are the ongoing costs of an HMO rent-to-rent property? This, like last week's episode, is another pen and paper episode because I see lots of sources selling expensive deals which don't have all the costs included. And to be successful at rent to rent or any business, you need to be able to understand what your costs are. So I'm just going to list them all out so that so that you don't miss anything when you are looking at a deal, when you're trying to see whether it works or not. So first of all, you've got your rent to your landlord or your agent. Fine. Most people are not going to miss that one. You've got your gas costs, electricity, you've got your water rates, you've got your council tax, gardening, cleaning, contents insurance. That's for your contents. If you've put any furniture in the house or if you've put anything else in there, if you've got any contents in there that you need to insure, that'll be for your own. You've got your Wi-Fi, more important than air, for professional tenants, management. Now, you need to make an allowance for your management costs. Now, this is even if you're managing the property yourself, you need to allow for either spare room costs or other costs you might have, and the cost of having a virtual assistant, a VA, if you have one. You need to allow, if you're paying for minor maintenance, you may or may not be doing that, depending on what you've agreed with the landlord or letting agent. But if you are paying minor maintenance, you need to allow something in the contract for that. And finally, you need to allow something for times when the rooms are empty between tenants. We've got it so that our void rate is somewhere between 0 and 1%, and we keep it very low. We've got systems in place for that, and I've talked about those in other episodes where we can have somebody moving out on one day and the next person moving in the very next day, and that's how we keep those voids to be very low indeed. So you might be saying, but how much do all of those things come to? Now, of course, that is going to be different. In different parts of the UK, it's going to be different. And for different sizes of property, it's going to be different. But what you do want to do is put all the numbers into the deal analyzer. Now, we've got the rent to rent success deal analyzer, and it prompts you for all of those costs, and it enables you to see exactly whether a deal will be profitable or not, to adjust the rent you're paying to the landlord and see what happens to the profit. It's an indispensable tool, and you can see it at renttorentssuccess.com/deal analyzer. rent-to-rent-success.com/deal analyzer. We have got it available in our shop there. And this one thing will save you so much stress and hassle. Remember when we had Conrad Geider on the show, he was saying he was paying £4,000 per deal, spending a few pounds on analyzing the deal and making sure it really worked. He was delighted, by the way. He's built up such a good business, and it was such an inspirational story. But you'll remember that the deal was not the best of deals, but he's so glad that he got started with it. But having that deal analyzer would enable you to be able to negotiate with the sourcer and just to be able to know, is this deal going to work for me? So it's the one thing that will save you so much stress and hassle. So let me just recap you on all of the costs that we talked about. Rent to your landlord or agent, gas costs, electricity costs, water rates, council tax, gardening, cleaning, contents insurance, Wi-Fi, and then you want to have allowances for management costs, maintenance costs, and voids. So brilliant question, Chris, and that's the answer for you. If you're in the Rent to Rent Kickstarter program with us, you'll have the deal analyzer already. And if you go into M5.1, you'll have there what it really costs to manage an HMO. And in that section, we answer questions including how can you find out precise costs for your specific property? What to do if the property doesn't have central heating and or double glazing? What to do if the property has metered water, and what happens if the property has council tax for each room, or if this comes in after you started renting a property. And also we talk about how to keep your utility costs down. And also, if you're in Kickstarter, we will look at your deals with you and make sure that they stack up. We're here to help you to not only get a deal, but get a deal that works well for you and that gives you the cash flow you want. In summary, guys, the secret is to analyze your deals before you sign anything. Don't rely on what sources say, because they may not know, or they might be more focused on selling you something than making sure you get a deal. So they'll be telling you it'll cash flow over £1,000, even if it won't. And with the deal analyzer, you will know what it can do for you. Okay, so that was another good one this week. If you've got your questions that you want to answer, do leave me a voice note at rent-to-rent-success.com/ask. It's rent-to-rent-success.com/ask. I'd love to be here answering your question next week. And also, if you want more and you want the whole Rent to Rent Success book on Audible, you can get it free. If you're not on Audible yet, Audible do a free 30-day membership. It's rent-to-rent-success.com/audible. You can get it free there. Or if you're already on Audible, you can use your Audible credits. It's the same link, rent-to-rent-success.com/audible. That's all for now. Bye then, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for being with me here today. If you would like more, we've written the #1 best-selling book on rent to rent. You can find it at rent-to-rent-success.com/book. Reviewers on Amazon have described it as the best rent-to-rent HMO book and also as a definitive reference guide and inspirational. Take your next step today and buy the book. You can find it at rent-to-rent-success.com/book. And I'll see you again next time. Until then, remember, believe bigger, be bolder, be a game changer.